Hi there, my name is Byrne and this is my studio. Now, some of you might remember that I filmed a before video a little while ago. It's not perfect, but we're getting there. I thought I could carry on tidying and then thought that I'd never actually convince anyone that it was always this tidy. So here we go. In the doorway, you kick off with this lovely little vintage wreath that I made. Which is all these sewing supplies. Then we've got an ice-dyed apron up here and a work in progress, which is this shirt that I was covering in Japanese fabric. There's a round robin waiting to be returned on the door handle. The bags are still there, but hey, they're a bit more tidy. I've got my threads up on the wall here. I absolutely love having them here in a kind of rainbow. There's a few empty spaces at the moment. It's all the kind of regular sewing thread at the top, and then all the kind of variegated or metallic stuff along the bottom. And then I've got, I'm always picking up bits and pieces at our guild's free table, which is where those Madeira threads all came from. And then this is a piece of art that I found at the bottom of a free bin at a creative reuse place. And it's not my work, but I absolutely love it. It just, oh, there's numero uno Cato joining us there with her meowing. There she is, a special segment on Charlotte. Hello. She's not usually very keen on being on camera, but there we go. She stuck around for longer than usual. She's clearly decided it's lunchtime, even though it's barely 11 o'clock. Over here we have my planning board for my business, and there's the ubiquitous cart that everybody has in their studio. Along here we've got, of course, grocery bags. What else does one use grocery bags for? Each one is a collection of fabric for a different project. I do have a lot of unfinished projects. I have ADHD, neurodivergent, and so there's always a lot to be done. Here I am in a unique position for me of having two sewing machines. This one I just found at a thrift store yesterday, Janome DC 2019. It didn't have a power cord and the thread was jammed. So I had to do a little bit of DIY, but it's in perfect order apart from that. It was only $25. So this is going to be my kind of straightforward piecing machine. And then at a quilt show a few years ago, well, probably about 8 years ago now, if not more, I got my Janome 6600 memory craft, which does a few little bits and pieces. It's got a big neck for just table quilting. It's got a built-in walking foot, which is what's there at the moment. I would love to get a machine with a stitch regulator, but it's not quite in my budget at the moment. And then this little thing is a pincushion I made with some elastic to go around there, which saves me from keeping quite as many pins in my mouth. I also have a piece of sticky measuring tape, basically, stuck to the table. And I've got another one on my desk and another one on the table in the living room. They're just so useful. Here we have my sew together bag, which I just taught recently, but that's the one that I actually use. And of course, I've got a wool cutting mat with, a wool pressing mat with another cutting mat underneath. And this little tower here is where I put my laptop when I'm filming. And that sashiko on the top of the box there. In fact, I made the box and you put the sashiko fabric and the actual sashiko on it. And then, of course, we've got other little camera holders and things. This is my design wall. It's a Fons and Porter design wall. It's basically just a sheet. The grid is printed on the other side, and then the front is kind of fleecy. It works okay. I don't think they make them anymore, which was probably a wise decision. And then along the top there, you'll see that we've got a curtain pole. This is ingenious. This was an idea from Lorraine Woodruff Long, I think, who uses these clips to hang things. These are effectively shower curtain clips. And I've got more of them, and so I can just swap out whatever I want to be on there. And I had the Red and White Lucy English paper pieced quilt on there, which is a particular love of mine English paper piecing and the red, and Lucy Boston herself. We've got my desk, which is very messy. In fact, it's hardly not messy at all at the moment by my standards. But the 2 monitors is something I learned when I was working in an engineering company, and it is very useful. We've got my little pin board. I want to make sure I point out the salami here. This is a felt salami. And that's all to do with how to tackle big projects, which I will go into one day. We have, of course, got a cat tree. The bottom shelf broke under Charlotte's weight some time ago, even though she's not actually a big cat at all. And so I have a breadboard I intend to drill a hole in and screw on there. That was some small piece of wood I found, but it's not big enough. I've got my lovely view of next door's roof, and this little corner is where this house sparrows were fledging just yesterday. It was very exciting, see them wobbling about. And then this monster here, which is one piece of furniture, this is a, what's it called? A create room or something like that? Yes, create room. And it has these fold out sides, and then this central station. It has a table that folds down, and then there's more shelves and storage underneath. So it's kind of floor to ceiling shelving. This is all my smaller cuts of fabric, fat quarters, and so on, maybe a few half yards. My scrap philosophy is it has to be at least 2.5 inches square, which is the size for English paper piecing, a 1-inch hexagon. But if it's smaller than that, and I really love it, I will still keep it. But anything that's smaller than a palm or a palm's width will go into my scrap fabrics. I've got an assortment of bits and bobs here, which are mostly works in progress, including the breadboard that I intend to drill a hole in for Charlotte's cat tree. It's my ironing board, which has actually got some space to iron on it. This will usually have a work in progress or 2 on it, which is indeed the case right now. There's more fabric and my sewing machine extension table down there. And then up here you've got some more sew together bags, my best press, whole load of bits and bobs. There's a charity quilt waiting to be quilted for my guild, and then one of these colour cubes, which I do actually use quite a lot if I'm planning something. The final bit of my studio is hidden behind these massive, I've forgotten what they're called, they're like stable doors that slide back and forth extremely stickily. And in here we've got all sorts of quilts. Let me see if this will, there we go. All sorts of quilts and quilt tops ready to go. There's also the larger cuts of fabric in here. There's my projector. And then this is my scrap storage. I divide up by colour, and some of the colour bags are in the other room at the moment. And then I'll stuff scraps in there. You can see some of my shibori dyeing just there. I'll stuff scraps in there until it feels like it's got too messy, and then I'll go back and sort all the new scraps into the colour bags as well. So that's everything I wanted to show you. My name is Byrne, and I've enjoyed showing you my studio. If you want to get in touch with me, then bbyrne.com will do it. And of course, I'm also the lead of Global Quilt Connection, so you can always reach me there at globalquiltconnection.com. Thanks for watching.
So it's wonderful to be here and talking to Byrne of Global Quilt Connection. And what is the name of your business?
It's just Byrne. Yes.
Byrne.
I'm at bbyrne.com.
bbyrne.com. Great. Wonderful. So I watched your studio tour and I'm very impressed. And I see that you have a Create box. Tell me about the Create box. Why do you have that as opposed to building shelves?
Well, it was a decision to invest in my long-term relationship, my marriage with my husband. We'd been going through a rocky patch. We're both really committed to the relationship. And then a month later, we decided to divorce. So by then, the Create box had been ordered and was on its way. But because it is a huge piece of furniture, it's this enormous kind of closet, and it is on wheels, but you have to empty it to move. And so my thinking was that I wasn't going to buy one if I was going to be moving and ending the relationship. And so I invested instead, and have now moved it, I think, 3 times, which is quite an undertaking because you have to empty everything out of it each time. And it is the equivalent of at least 3 bookcases and a table. So yes, it's something I definitely wouldn't have bought if I hadn't believed that the marriage was going to work, but it didn't. So yes, it's now this. I kind of refer to it as an albatross around my neck, that I've got to move this thing around with me. But such is the life of someone who rents rather than owning. So there you go.
Yeah, it seems like it would come in handy if you're renting rather than owning because you can't, custom build shelves or built-in furniture or anything like that. So,
It's absolutely true, and you can only temporarily put things on walls. So that's partly why I use the curtain rod, rather than trying to mount a design wall or have permanent places to hang quilts. Because with the curtain rod, you've only got the kind of 2 places where you're adding it to the wall at either end. Rather than trying to fix all sorts of things. And of course, living in California, you're constantly aware of earthquakes. And in fact, we have them about once a month, sometimes more often. Fortunately, minor ones. But you do need to think about attaching things securely to walls and them not toppling over and things like that when you're living in an earthquake state.
oh, goodness, give me a good old-fashioned blizzard anytime.
Uh, I know it's always funny when you have visitors and there's like a little sort of point 4.5 or something, and they're like, oh, and looking like, should I go under a table? Should I stand in a doorway? And everyone else is just like, nah, it's nothing, just carry on as usual.
Yeah, my only earthquake I experienced was in the Philippines.
Mm,
That was the big one.
we used to get them all the time when I was living in Tokyo, and they were enough to like make you hold onto the table. But they've got it all sorted out there. Everything is retrofitted. The trains slow down on the metro system while the earthquake happens, and then they just pick up and off they go afterwards.
Yeah, I love it. They're very, very efficient. So, I see that you have two Janome sewing machines. What do you think about Janome? Is that your
I
favorite?
Yeah, I really like it. I grew up using a Singer, which I so wish I had kept. It kind of fell apart more or less, and I didn't realize how easy it was, relatively speaking, to get them repaired back then. And so I got rid of it rather than repairing it, which I hugely regret. This is like 20 years ago. But I started with Singers. Then I had a cheap brother when I moved to the States because I didn't just move here. So the bigger Janome, the 6600, was the one I kind of invested in at the time, and it got the bigger neck and so on. And then it's a coincidence, really, that the one I found in the thrift store last week is also a Janome. It's kind of happy coincidence because I was able to just transfer the electric cord from one to another, because it didn't have a cord. And now, I guess I am a Janome committed user. But I see other people's machines, and I've always got the FOMO and jealousy of seeing all these amazing things that can be done. I do like that with the Janome and the Brother and the Singer. I think you can interchange all the feet because they're just the clip-on feet. I know with Benina, they tend to have the specific feet, and they're not cheap either. So I'm very happy with Janome for the time being. Yes.
All right, you tend to answer questions that I have in my mind. I think you read my mind sometimes.
I think it's because I've asked everyone all these questions as well.
So I see that Charlotte was in the studio earlier today, and she's your studio assistant. What type of services does Charlotte provide?
Oh, a lot of critique. She she also absolutely loves sitting on anything that has been made. And I don't know if it's because it's got my scent on it or because I've been paying attention to it. But she's definitely a quilt tester. So there's one that I did an English paper pieced large quilt top, sort of twin. No, I think it's more of a double sized actually. All hand sewn using the apple core or axe head block. And I'm now hand quilting it on the sofa in the evenings while watching TV. And the thing she really loves at the moment, because it's too hot to sit on my lap already here in California, she loves to sit on the piece that I'm not quilting, that's on the sofa next to me while I'm working away on the other end. And I know that kind of people who have their quilts in museums and galleries and so on would be horrified, but my quilt has a considerable amount of quilt hair on it. But in very specific locations, like in quadrants, as I've moved around the quilt. So there's going to definitely be some washing and brushing to be done once I've actually finished hand quilting this one.
Yeah, I think she provides a service of holding the quilt down so it doesn't like fly away when
I'm
you're,
sure that's what she.
hold it steady while you're hand embroidering because you do kind of need to hold a certain amount of tension to hand embroider a quilt.
That's what she
I
tells
think that's very, very professional on her part. I see you also have a round robin from your quilt guild in your studio. Could you tell me about that?
Yeah, it's funny actually because I'd always wanted to do a round robin. And this is where our one at least for the San Francisco Quilt Guild is where you make a block and then as people take it and there's like a rotation. It goes around a group. And there's a woman now called Mary Spadaro who's absolutely amazing who organizes the round robin for the San Francisco Quilt Guild. I think we're on the third or fourth round now, so the quilt's getting quite large. And you either add a full border around, or you can, in the first round, you can turn the block on point, or you can decide just to add, like, to make it asymmetrical and just add like a corner. But I started this before the pandemic, I think 2018 or 19, because I'd always wanted to do one. Then during the pandemic, um, Julia McLeod, that's it, who's one
Yeah.
of the teachers and in fact used to work with
Mhm.
Connection.
Yes.
She started a loan robin, which was a wonderful idea, where she gave us a prompt each month to complete while we were all in isolation. And then Mary picked it up after the pandemic. So we've now gone back to the round robin idea. But it's just such a fun thing. We do it every 2 months in my guild.
Mhm.
So you've got lots of time to add a border, which is definitely appreciated once you get to some of the outer rounds. And most of these quilts end up well, some people request lap sized, and so the borders are thinner, but a lot of them
Mhm.
will end up easily double sized by the end.
Sounds great. Yeah, I really enjoyed working with Julia. So let me ask you the most important question. Tell me about the felt sausage that you have in your studio.
The salami, yes, it's up on my pin board. So this is something, initially I got one for my sister who lives in the UK because she and I have often discussed how to cope when one of us is feeling overwhelmed or when there's a huge
Mhm.
thing to do or like a wedding to plan or something like that, or a move to happen. So I went to this project management training in the early 2000s, which was just so bizarre. This was well before Me Too or any kind of big sexual harassment type stuff had come out, other than the usuals type thing. And I'm not saying there was any sexual harassment in this, but you will understand in a minute where this guy comes in and he is suit and tie and he's carrying a briefcase and it's like an old school 80s briefcase and he kind of bangs it down on the table and he goes, right, we're doing project management. This is the training I'm at. It's a full day course. He opens up his briefcase and of course I'm expecting that there'll be like papers or manuals or something in it, but no, there's a great big salami and it's kind of like a big salami, and he gets it out and he just whacks it on the table and he goes, right, how would you eat this? And everyone's like, what? And And he goes, how would you eat this salami? And he's going, would you try and put the whole thing in your mouth at once? And it was just bizarre. This guy, I'm sure he can't do this anymore. But anyway, so turns out that how you eat a massive salami is not to try and do it all at once or just take a bite out of it or something. You cut it into slices and you eat it one slice at a time. And I have told my sister about this many times, and she's always like, "Oh God, you're going to start talking about sausages." And so one time I found this seller on Etsy, and I'm sure we can link to her in the notes underneath the video, who sold felt salamis. And so I sent my sister one for her birthday one year. And it arrived, of course, and she showed it to me because I think the woman is in Europe somewhere. And she makes amazing felt play food for kids. That's what it's for. This isn't a project management tool, generally speaking. But I was so impressed with the salami that she made my sister that I got myself one. And it sits up there on my pinboard and catches my eye every now and again. And I'm reminded, as if I needed a reminder, this memory is seared in my mind that whenever you've got something big or something feels overwhelming, you slice it up into, if necessary, like paper thin slices, and you eat them one at a time.
I have this picture in my head of a bunch of men standing up with their pocket knives.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Because the people I used to work with, they all like they carried pocket knives and they stand up, let's get her done, kind of a thing. So
Absolutely.
I think if you were in America, that would probably have happened.
Yes. Well, in fact, one of the things when I started teaching lots of different workshops, one of my fellow teachers, she always carries two knives because she grew up in rural areas. But she suggested that I get a Swiss Army knife because there's so many times teaching these random workshops, not just quilting, but all sorts of other things, where you just don't know you're going to need a screwdriver or you're going to need a knife or you're going to need, something for getting the stones out of horses' hooves. So
Exactly.
having a Swiss Army knife, I always carry one now whenever I'm going on a workshop.
That's good. Hopefully you remember to put it in your checked-in luggage instead of the
Oh,
carry-on.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be a problem.
Odd that we can bring knitting needles but no knives.
Mm.
So tell me, what are you looking forward to next at Global Quilt Connection? I know we're working on several things together.
Oh, there's so much coming up. So obviously there's all these studio tours, but we're also having the Quilters product showcase later on in September. I think it's the 15th, but it'll be on our website anyway. And that's going to be a great opportunity to do a little bit of shopping and find out about all the new shop products that are out in the world. Oh, here she comes. She's back. My threat to pick her up, which she hates, didn't hold her off for very long. And then we're also looking at, I'm so excited about this. I was thinking about it all weekend. We're also looking at doing a Pets on Quilts calendar at the end of the year, which I'm very excited about. And then not to mention, of course, we have the October All-Star Sampler Platter, which is coming back again, which I will be teaching in this time. I was just hosting last time, but I'm going to do double duty this time. And we're going to welcome back Lyric Kennard, who's the founder of Global Quilt Connection. And she'll also be teaching. So yes, a huge amount to look forward to.
Yeah, that's great. I'm looking forward to all that too. I love going, like you and I went to the trade show in the spring and we got to see all the new products. And so that's going to be a way for us to share that bounty of that experiences to be able to have a quilters product showcase and feature some of the people that we met when we were in Chicago.
Yes, and this is one of the people that I'm hoping will agree. I've just emailed them, but this is a craft labeler, and this spoke to me. It's got the little alphabet letters that you can move around. It really spoke to me because I remember those kind of things when I was a kid and kind of printing silly messages to your friends. But it's also got the ability to add like little washing instructions, and little symbols and things. And I just think this is lovely. This is actually available now. But I got this out and started playing with it at the weekend, having picked it up back in April, was it? That we were So it's been in the box for a while, but I'm finally using it. Yes, and they're one of the people that, like I say, that I'm hoping will be there showing us their products.
Great. I'm looking forward to that too. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So remind us where we can find you.
Yes, absolutely. So I am B Byrne and I'm at bburn.com. And then I'm also on Instagram as B Byrne Artist.
Mhm. Great. I like to scroll occasionally.
Yes.
CB Byrne artist. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to. What is she stalking me? All right. Great. So, and you can also be found at info@globalquiltconnection.com
Of
and
course.
or
Yes,
b@globalquiltconnection.com.
absolutely. Yes, we are
All
the
right.
dream team between the two of us.
Yeah, every email dumps into the same email box and you watch all of them.
I do.
All right. Well, it's really wonderful to talk to you.
Yes, you too. Thank you so
And
much for this.